Yeah, hi everybody. If whoever's tuning in, welcome. I'm Anne Marie McAuley and I am head of fashion at Portobello Institute. And Aoife's here and she is from the marketing department and our social media guru. So she's making sure that everything's running smoothly, hopefully. And we have a special guest tonight who is Orla O'Brien. And Orla we're lucky enough to have Orla on our team at Portobello as a lecturer for the second years and third years in the fashion degree on the fashion buying and merchandising and the fashion management program, which we'll talk a little bit about at the end, but I wanted to focus tonight because Orla is an entrepreneur. And she's not only that, but her journey into buying, because she was a buyer with Savida in Dunn Stores. And then we'll talk a little bit about the business that Orla, the very successful launch and success so far in the last year and a half of a business. So I suppose really we haven't done these in a while, so it's great to get back to them a little bit and talk about have interesting guests on. And I suppose really the purpose in this is to really tie in, and which we do in the college, is the business of fashion and sort of talk to people about the fact that our courses and our degree programs are really driven not only with the academic side, but also with the practical side. And that's why we have really experienced people on our team. And I suppose, with Orla's experience, which she's going to tell us all about, you can see the journey that you can have, whether you go buying or you go business, so if you want to run your own brand, if you want to work for a big company, all those fantastic opportunities are there. And I suppose, Orla, I will kick off. Hi.
Hi.
Is that a good introduction? I hope so. We'll kick off, I suppose, by asking you, Orla, to tell us about the beginning, your journey from school into college and onto the buying team of a major company.
Yeah, so when I was in school, I loved fashion and I knew I wanted to work in fashion, but I just didn't really know what type of area of fashion I wanted to work in. If I'm being honest, I think when I was in school, I didn't even know what buying was. I didn't know that that was a job. So I liked writing and I liked media, so I thought maybe I wanted to go into fashion journalism. So I ended up doing a communications degree. So when I finished that, I was working in retail all throughout my degree in a fashion store. It was actually Hollister and Dundrum. And when I finished that, they asked me to be a manager full time. So I was doing that and I really enjoyed retail. I loved sales. I loved moving things around the store and seeing the sales go up, putting my best sellers at the front. And when I was working there as a manager, I just thought, I think I'd like to work further back in the supply chain. So I was looking at all the products coming in and I knew straight away what was going to sell, what wasn't going to sell. And I'd be calling up the head office saying you should have done this in black, they would have bought.
And how did you know that? I mean, how did you, what do you think that you saw that made you feel, gosh, yeah, that's a winner, that's not a winner?
Yeah, I think I'm just really passionate about the product. It's my favorite part of buying. I loved being working with the product, and it was my favorite part of working as a store manager as well. I loved seeing the new products come in. I talked to the customers all the time, get customer feedback, and I knew from working there day in day out, you get to know your customers very well. I knew what they wanted, and then seeing the products come in, I knew how I could change the product to make it better, to sell better. So that's how I decided I wanted to go back and do buying. So I finished up doing that management job and I went back and did a master's in fashion buying. That was back in 2016. So then during that master's, I ended up doing a placement in Dunn Stores. I was in Savida in Dunn Stores. I started there as an intern and then I was still there 7 years later buying the department. So I had a great time there. I loved it.
And what was your favorite thing about buying, the buying role? What did you love the most?
I think every day was different in buying. Savita was great. I got experience buying all product categories. So I'm not sure if you know it, it's kind of like an in-house brand
Yeah.
in Dunstore. So they do kind of coats, they do dresses, they do even accessories. So I got experience buying all of that product. I went on loads of trips. We used to go to Turkey very often and buy from there, which I really enjoyed. And I loved kind of putting the collections together. We used to have a collection every 2 weeks. So I would work with my designers and we'd come up with maybe a theme for the collection. Like at the moment, I'd probably do like leopard print is everywhere, or
Everywhere.
we'd come up with, yeah,
Gosh, yeah, it's
or
like it's always in. Animal print's always in, but I just leopard print is just taken on a whole new life of its
I
own.
know,
And you know what's interesting about that is that as a buyer, you get to see that a year ahead of time.
mm,
I mean, you get the trend forecasters telling you this is going to happen, and you look at trend books, and then you take, as a buyer, you take, oh, am I going to go down that route, and how far am I going to go down that route? And then when you see it, I always think it's great. That always gave me a buzz when I was a buyer. Um, that always gave me the buzz, is to see it a year ahead of time and then make those decisions and then have it come into the store and then see it everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
that's really exciting. Or I like to kind of translate the trend for your customer as well. I always thought that was kind of a fun aspect of the job. So we knew leopard print was coming in, and then we think like, how would our customer wear leopard print?
Yeah.
Like maybe she's not going to be wearing the trousers. Maybe she'll be wearing like a top or maybe an accessory instead. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it. And then yeah, I had great experience as well doing marketing within Savita. So I used to be involved in doing like the campaign photo shoots, which was great. Like working with the stylist and Dunn's, picking out the looks, and I really enjoyed that aspect as well.
Cool. That's really interesting because, you know, in a company like Dunn Stores, Primark, those top companies, it's you do have a lot of interdepartmental relationships, and you get exposed. I think they really expose you to a lot more than just the buying or the merchandising role, or, you know, everyone gets to work with everybody, I think, really closely. Has that been your
Yeah,
experience, Orla?
definitely. Like we talk a lot to the store managers, get their input, what they think their customers in their stores would buy, because obviously the likes of Pennies and Dunn stores have so many stores. Like you're going to sell different things in Spain than you're selling in Belfast. So we talked with them a lot. We worked a lot with the visual merchandisers as well. Like for example, how many different styles of shoes do they need to like get all the mannequins covered. I remember at one point we were sending out say 6 size 7s to each store, and then we realized all of those shoes were going on the mannequins, so there was no actual size 7s for sale. So you get like different insights from all the different departments in the company on how to make the buy better.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So so then you went, sort of decided then that you were going to take a risk. All entrepreneurs are risk takers. So you left the comfort of Dunn Stores
Yeah.
and your job there
Yeah.
to take a risk on a company of your own. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I got married back in December 2022. This is kind of a weird start to the story, but I wanted to wear these really big earrings. So I had these massive earrings that I wanted to wear, and I was trying them on in the shops. I have pictures of this, and they'd be dragging my earlobes down, and they were really sore and really painful. So I was Googling, I was like, what do people do to like fix this? I was looking up, like, what do the Kardashians do? Surely there's something on the that solves this problem. And people were cutting up plasters and sticking them, and or like bandages and sticking it on the back of their ear. So I just thought there's no product on the market in Ireland that solves this issue. And I just thought I'd go for it. So I developed the product. I was lucky that it was kind of a low cost startup. I didn't put much money behind, I didn't put any money behind marketing or anything. I had experience, luckily, from working in Dunn stores and in college as well, of how to like make a website, how to kind of set up products and working with suppliers. So I decided to do that. So I launched that back in November 2023. So it's not even a year yet. And it's been great so far. Um, I recently rebranded, so since the launch, I've developed a few more products, and they've been really successful as well. I was
I
delighted with
suppose
that.
you had to do that because you had the initial
Yeah,
idea was a
yeah,
one product idea,
mm,
and then you've expanded. So yeah, you have to do that very quickly and very cleverly when you're rebranding to get it,
yeah.
keep it on track. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was worried because a lot of the growth I've experienced is from people tagging me on TikTok and tagging me on Instagram. They see women trying on huge earrings and complaining about the weight, and then they tag Loveless. So I was a bit worried when I changed to It's Beauty Cheats. That was only last week, but it seems to be going well so far. Um, and also
Yeah,
I
I've seen it all over Instagram, which is really
yeah,
cool. And I've have some influencers popped up talking about it, which
yeah,
is fantastic. It
yeah,
was about your necklace clasp with
yeah,
the chains
yeah.
clasp. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's going well so far. The chains clasp on the magnetic clasp I developed after and launched after. I was a bit worried about that as well. I thought, am I losing kind of the impact of one product? But it's paid off. Like my average transaction value has gone up now. I think when people go on to buy one product, they might see the other and think, oh, this is
right.
handy as well.
Yeah.
And they buy the two or the three. So it's been really good so far.
So that's really, for people who don't know, average transaction value or transaction value is really important, and it's something you learn also
Yeah,
in the business course in fashion, is because it's something that businesses monitor very closely because they want to have more, more than just one product being purchased. So there's a whole science behind that. Which is really cool to learn about as well as
yeah.
implement then. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I'm also doing some work at the moment with a company called Lena Jewelry, which has been great. So I'm working as their marketing and e-commerce manager. So it's great after the experience of working in a big company like Dunnes Stores to work in a smaller company and see how they're doing it as well. And I've learnt loads there. So I'm able to bring that to my own company as well.
Cool. And what I suppose, Orla, what are the differences? What are the challenges that a small company faces as opposed to a big international company? What are a couple of the differences?
I think definitely competing with the like economies of scale. So I'm obviously buying much smaller quantities than the likes of Pennies or Dunnes Stores we're buying, and therefore I'm paying more for the product than they would pay. So that's definitely something I've come across, but it's also workable. I think if your product is good enough, people will pay that little bit extra from you. Another thing is just kind of the accessibility. Like those kind of stores, you make your product, it's going to sell because it's in your 100 stores or your 150 stores. Whereas at the moment, I'm trying to get people online and get them to my one specific website, which is definitely a lot harder.
And are you then also using, selling to retailers as well as selling direct?
Yeah, so I'm selling through pharmacies at the moment. I'm in a couple of pharmacies like Staunton's and Castlebar and some in Galway. And I'm also selling to jewelers, which has been great. So I'm stocked in One Dame Lane, which is a lovely jewelers. It's based in Greystones, and Brooks Jewelers in Wexford and a few others. So yeah, I've
Right.
been
Yeah.
really looking to grow that kind of wholesale route, and it's definitely something I want to keep expanding on when I do new products.
Yeah, it's really interesting about the pharmacies because when I was the head of retail operations for the Body Shop, I developed with the team that concept of taking the Body Shop into
Yeah.
pharmacy. Gosh, it's been a long time ago now. I'm just thinking the length of time it's ago. But anyway, it was really innovative at the time because Body Shop had never done that.
Yeah.
And we had to go to the head of the company in the UK and just pitch the idea, and then we had to get a concept for a pharmacy because obviously we weren't going to put all the products in, but
Yeah.
you know what, it was really successful and it rolled out to a lot of pharmacies, and we had stands within the pharmacy just like Chanel do and
Yeah.
all the big houses
Yeah.
do. But I thought what was really cool is you're always learning in this business, and I thought what was really cool was that we were able to really hone in on our best sellers. And that's where, you know, you focus in as a buyer, then you focus in on the best sellers, what's really going to work and what isn't going to work, and even translating that back to our main stores. You know what I mean? Because, you know, let's face it, Body Shop had 10,000 products at any given time. So, but it is, and that's what we sort of bringing it back to your experience working with a big retailer.
Yeah.
And then being able to teach our students, and we teach our students about all of that, and what are the focuses, and what are the really important, you know, dynamics of that relationship with a retailer. If you're selling from a wholesale point of view, it's a totally different part of the business. Do you know what I mean? As well as direct retail. So it's totally
even like as you're saying, you're always learning. Like I started these products thinking I sell online, and just in the last few days when more retailers have contacted me, I've had to make changes to like POS displays. Like I've had to make those like tearaway boxes so people can put them directly on shelves. A lot of people don't have like racks and stuff, so I've changed packaging from what I sell directly to consumers online. So yeah, it's a constant learning, but it's good to get that perspective as well.
Yeah, it really is. And then you're dealing with the supply chain as well, and getting your product from source to your business, to your store outlets, to your customer. So that's a whole journey in itself to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. And also just managing the margins, because you need to, obviously when you're selling wholesale, the retailer needs to make a cut as well. So you're working with really tiny margins. So the smallest thing, like kind of an increase in the delivery fee from your supplier, you're suddenly making a loss. So you have to be really, really tight on your packaging, how much it even weighs, to make sure you're still getting those margins when it arrives in Ireland.
Yeah, I mean, it really is important to have a plan. And it's, I suppose it's really, I don't know if you probably will agree, I'm sure you'll agree with me. It's really important to watch those numbers and to track them. And it doesn't matter, you know, when you're working for a big company, you have all this information that these days, gosh, I didn't have all this information when I was working for a big company.
Yeah.
But then when I started my own business, what I did was I translated everything I learned at a big company into even a small business. So what I'm saying there is tracking product, tracking the customer numbers, tracking the average spend, analyzing it per day, per week, per month, like all these big companies do. That never left me. And so, you know, anything that I've been involved in on a smaller scale, I've definitely used.
Definitely, yeah. I'm the same. I'm one of those people who actually love Excel. I think it's such a good tool, and it's
so funny, Orla, because I always tell the students to fall in love with Excel. You have to, you know, because a lot of times I know people get a little bit nervous when they're thinking about doing the business of fashion, and they hear, oh, finance and maths, because people are generally afraid of maths. But you know, it's not about maths. You're not doing algorithm, you know, you're not doing, I don't know, hard maths, but you're doing basic maths. But what you're doing is the importance of it is that numbers tell a story. And what we teach, I suppose, and that you use in your business and any other business, is that story. You have to listen to it, and you have to make your buying decisions around that. It's not always about what you love and you like. It's about what makes sense financially.
Definitely, yeah. It's so important. Even when you're working in a small business, it's important for cash flow. I'm like forecasting my sales all the time to make sure I'm going to have enough money there to pay for my next shipment. It's so important. And it's definitely, I think, one of the biggest things that when you go into a buying office, it's the new girls or the new guys on the team, it's one of the things they have to do straight away. So it's so good to have that basic understanding of Excel. As you said, you don't need to be an expert by any means, but just knowing how to do the basics is such a help when you go into a buying office.
That's why we teach it. That's why it's on our program.
Yeah.
And you know, they have to, students do the finance and the retail sales and the key performance indicators and the range planning and the margins and all those things that you utilize. And as you say, exactly, when you first go into a buying office, that's one of the first things you do, or you're tracking the KPIs and you're tracking product, you know, so it's really, and the numbers tell a story. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, I don't think I was particularly good at numbers when I was in school all those years ago. I don't remember loving numbers at that level, but I just, there was a point in my career, you know, maybe it was probably at Saks Fifth Avenue, one of those, that where I started to go, okay, this is, if I look at those numbers and try and understand what they're telling me, then that's going to make my job easier, you know. So I think that that's what we're always trying to teach our students, is that's what the numbers are about, you know.
Yeah, like each number there represents one of your products which you've put all this time and energy into. So you have to make sure.
What are you loving about running your own business, Orla?
I love being my own boss and I love making my own decisions. I think coming from maybe a larger company, you know, things get signed off. So when I'm working for myself, I make the decisions really quickly. I decide to do a product, it's an action the next day. I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the kind of marketing and the social media as well. I've been doing a lot on TikTok and I really like kind of built a little bit of a community over there. A lot of followers, like as I said, they tag me in people's posts. They're always recommending me to their followers. So yeah, I'd say definitely the TikTok has been really fun.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And you know, what are you looking forward to in the next, you know, what's your plan over the next couple of years? I mean, because every entrepreneur, every business brand owner has a forward plan,
Yeah.
you know, maybe 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. What are you thinking?
So I've changed the name now. The new brand is It's Beauty Cheats. So I definitely want to keep going down this kind of beauty hacks, beauty cheats kind of road. So I've loads of products in the back of my mind and a few developed that I'd like to launch within the next year or so, going down the same route. I'm keeping pharmacies at the forefront of my mind. So what people need to see there and how I'm going to grow the wholesale route. And then also just short term, I'm working on some Christmas gifting sets, even looking at Mother's Day gifting sets and how I'm going to do like gift packaging and all that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe I haven't looked too far down the road, but definitely in the next year, I'd love to get maybe five to six new products and just get my gifting much better.
Great, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
Great. Eva, do you have any question you'd like to ask Orla?
Well done, Orla, that's brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Well, Orla, just quickly we'll go into the two courses that are starting back up on the 30th of September.
Yeah.
So we have our BA Honours Fashion Buying and Merchandising, and we have our BA Honours Fashion Management. I see if there's anything that, like, what's your favourite thing about, you know, teaching those courses? I know you teach the innovation in fashion, strategic management and visual merchandising. So is there anything that you're excited about in September? Anything you can tell any of the students on here that anything exciting coming up for them?
Yeah, well, I have a really nice mix of modules, as you just said there. I do the kind of finance and merchandising side, which is really nice just to get through the basics of Excel. As I said, I think that's so important, and I personally love Excel. So I love teaching that and trying to make the students love it as much as I do. And then the other course or module I was doing is innovation, which is so interesting. Like as you can tell, like it changes not even every year, probably every few months. So we're looking at AI all the time. We did some really cool research last year on blockchain technology. So how you can like use blockchain to look all the way back in the supply chain of a product. So I found that really, really interesting. And get some other kind of technology coming around, making sustainability more accessible to the consumers through innovation. So I'm really looking forward to furthering our research on that.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can't rest
No.
with, you know, the same information. That fashion changes. So, you know, the information of fashion is like the fashion itself. It changes, you know, rapidly. And so it's really important that we keep up to date and keep our students up to date with everything that's going on. And I think that that's what we do at Portobello. We mix the academic. I mean, academics don't change that much in the sense that the theories are still relevant, that they've been for 20, 30 years. The theories behind strategic management, there's new innovations that come into it, but the basics are there in the theory end, which we teach. And then we add in all the new stuff, all the latest stuff. And, I think that's cool because you're learning all the time, even though you're teaching and you're delivering these lectures. I'm still learning. I see new things. I mean, I'm the worst at this, Instagram and TikTok. I'm not even on TikTok, guys. Sorry. That's just not a step too far for me. But I keep up with Instagram, and then I go down the Instagram tunnel, that tunnel you go down when you start reading. But the thing about it is you get all the latest news. You get the new CEO of Victoria's Secrets this week, the new CEO of Starbucks, who gets to earn 146 million a year and work from home. Like, what a job that would be. I love that. So yeah, it just, and with the 2 degrees we have at the moment in the undergrad program, in the honors undergrad is the fashion management and the fashion buying and merchandising. Now, it's exciting. The first year is coming in this year. We take a trip to London every year, as you know, and this coming February 25, not only do we go to Pure, the big trade show, which we've done consistently over the years, but we're invited to visit London Met, which is our accreditation partner. So not only do you get the degree at Portobello Institute, you get accredited with London Met University. We're very proud of that. And they've invited us to visit while we're in London. And then we're also invited to River Island, which is one of our retail partners. We get to visit River Island's head office this year. So it's an extra couple of things on the trip this year. Oh, I think that's going to be so much fun. And then, of course, the second years go to Paris and the third year is Milan. So very exciting for our third year, finishing our third years last year. I can see a few of them have tuned in tonight. It's your last year. We're looking forward to welcoming you back and then saying goodbye to you in May of next year with a degree in hand, an honors degree, and you're going to get to go to Milan with myself. And the last time I was in Milan was COVID. Can you believe that? It was that weekend that the lockdown, Milan was the place started locking down, and we were there with the students in the middle of it all. So that was, I don't know what it was. It was so weird, crazy, but disappointing in a way, because a lot of the shows were cancelled. We still got to go where we were heading, which was fantastic. We were lucky enough. But by the end of that weekend, we were like, oh my God, it was like lockdown happening in Milan. And then we got to Dublin and nothing was happening.
Yeah.
So it was very, very surreal experience. So I'm interested.
Made
it home. So next year, hopefully we'll have none of that.
Yeah, smoother.
Yeah. But what's great about, the course, it's 3 years. The degree program is 3 years. You get exposed to lots of interesting, fun things. It is really challenging in a sense that, it's all new when you start off first, but I can see our third years have grown. So even our second years already at the end of the first year. Looking forward to seeing you guys back too and welcoming our first years. But the difference between the first year and the third year, it's incredible to see the growth and the knowledge and the skill base, increasing every year. And I'm confident now our third years will go off to the world career. Of course, we work with all of that and support all that. So, I feel, what's great is that we do these lives to sort of introduce and talk to different people. But so Orla, it's great to talk to you because you have worked for a major company as a buyer. You have an entrepreneurial spirit. You have that, you're delving into that, you're going on that journey. and you're able to take the students along with you on that journey, which I think is a really cool experience. Yeah.
Yeah, great. It was great to talk to you.
Yeah. I think, is that it, Aoife? Does anyone want to ask any questions that's tuning in? Is there anybody would like to ask Orla anything, or ask myself anything?
Yeah. Has any questions, just pop them in the comments, or no problem. I'm also going to save this recording, everyone, so I'll pop it up for anyone that missed out and can watch back or whatever. So
yeah, brilliant. So I also just do startup mentoring with startup companies, with Enterprise Ireland, with the Leos, the local Leos. I just finished actually a mentoring program with people who are in Meath Partnership that wouldn't normally have an idea for a business, but wouldn't normally get wouldn't have the confidence, I suppose, to move it forward, and maybe, you know, are slightly disadvantaged areas that people come from, but have a really good idea. So I've just had a really fun experience being a mentor with two people on that program. It's a European directive with the partnerships in your local community, but it was really good because I was able to, you know, to talk to people about, well, what do they need to do first? You know, when you have an idea, you have to, you know, what do you do first? You set up a feasibility study, you put a plan together, you know, and that's, I think if you're planning, you're putting in the work in the planning, it makes it more straightforward than when you actually go to implement it. Orla, what would you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. When I was starting off, I did a lot of market research. First of all, I think that was really, really important. And then just planning, as you said, I started putting the figures down and seeing if it was feasible to do it. So
cool.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, right. Yeah. So it was just interesting to see that with the different demographic of client as a mentor, because I've dealt with a lot of mentorees that are from, you know, are well able and capable and have good background and good experience. So it was really interesting to work with people who were just starting out, you know, on that journey. And, you know, I just think if when anyone has an idea and they feel they want to go for it, I'm so encouraging of that. And I really think that's so important. And we've had several ex-students go on their own path and start their own business and their own. So it's not only about coming to study with us that you go down the journey of working for a big organization or an established organization. It also will give you the tools if you want to do that, if you want to go for it and start your own business. You know, they're transferable tools and skills, which I think is great.
Yeah, you summed it up there well, Anne Marie.
Well, so there I go. I managed to get on time today online. I'm always on time. I'm a stickler for time. The students know that are listening, I'm a stickler for time, and I hate to get delayed, but it's always technology. But you know, people running from the President of the United States have technology problems, as we all saw last week with Elon Musk, and he who will remain nameless. Okay, that's it. Good to talk.
Yeah, great to talk to you. Thanks very much.
If anyone needs to find any information, they can contact the college directly.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a million.
Later.
Bye.